But I want to say that, first of all, I want to apologize for not being dressed appropriately for this. I don't want you to think I'm not honoring you in some way. It's just that I am a real light traveler because I travel a lot. And I just came from Phoenix to Charlotte to here, and I always only carry one suitcase that I can put above me. And I only take one suit. I don't care if I'm gone for 40 days. It is the same suit every day. And I lost my suit coat along the way, so I apologize. It's in some hotel somewhere. But I want to thank you for this incredible honor you bestowed upon me today. It means a lot to me. I'm humbled to join the ranks of Sigma Nu men who have received this award in the past, including Dr. Wells, who was a huge influence on my career, and many people, many hundreds of people. Our former Sigma Nu Regent and Chair, NIC Chair Howard Pickett, and Mo Littlefield, who's also here tonight. And so it's just humbling to be in the presence of these other men. I also want to thank my Sigma Nu brother and good friend, Brad Beecham. And it's funny, he's also on my favorites, yeah. But for a different reason. And I also want to thank Judd for making this award presentation possible. Thank you. When I was offered the choice of how and when we could do this, this was definitely my choice to do it. And because it was just fun to be back with a bunch of these great undergraduate men who are leaders. I'm deeply indebted to the NIC and to Sigma Nu. This award has allowed me to reflect on my life and recount the many great memories I had as a fraternity member. And I had a good experience in my fraternity, and I enjoyed it. And I thought Sigma Nu meant a lot to me when I was 18, but it actually, to all of you, which you actually can't see any of you because of the lights, but I know you're out there, it means more as you get older, I guarantee you. When I pledged Beta Iota chapter, I had no idea what awaited me. I was taught the principles of love, honor, and truth, and these principles continue to inspire me. My journey has taken me to many college campuses where I've been lucky enough to serve as an administrator and a faculty member. The three principles of Sigma Nu have been there all along my path, influencing the way I interact with others and the way that I like to present myself. With all the how-to books and best practices available at our fingertips, I still find inspiration in our ideals of the fraternity. And here's how I think the creed applies to my life, and I hope to yours too. To believe in the life of love. My takeaway from that is that we should do unto our fellow men as we would want them to do to us. But let's go another step, and let's try to treat others with love and kindness, even if that's difficult to do. What I always say, I have 4 of my own kids, and any student I get to work with is, give the other guy a chance to prove he's a jerk before you assume it. And I think that's really important, especially nowadays. There's so much anger out there, and everybody's ready to spring on everybody else, mostly for very infinitesimal things when you think about it. So I would just say, give the other guy a chance to prove he's a jerk before you assume it. To walk in the way of honor. This reminds all of us that no obligation is more binding than your word. If you say you're going to do something, then do it. Hold your friends accountable and walk with honor. Good deeds are still valued and should not go unnoticed in today's society. To serve in the light of truth. This part of Sigma Nu Creed reminds me that truth serves as our spiritual centerpiece. Truth is light, and you need to be truthful for the rest of your life. In the popular culture, truth has been lost, and it's not cool to be truthful and honorable anymore. But let me tell you, that's not right. That's not the right way to act at all. My career is not uncommon. I simply pursued my interest, and I was lucky enough to fall into a profession that allows me to feel like I never work a day in my life. I was drawn to higher ed because I enjoyed working with students, and I still get to work with students. Mentors in my life encouraged me and saw something in me to be developed. Therefore, I try to do that for others. You never know what a word or gesture could be in the turning point of someone's life. I learned firsthand how words can have an impact from working at Indiana University with this guy that none of you know except for the people in the front 3 tables, who the even is, Dr. Herman Wells. This was an amazing guy who was chancellor of a school with 30,000 students at that time, and he actually knew students' names. He walked around campus. People were begging him to come to the fraternity houses for dinner and to all the clubs and organizations. He was just this amazing guy. And he said lots of things when I was a young man and he was then an old man, me, and I thought a lot of them were crazy, but they're so true. He would always say, "You seek what you find, and you find what you seek." And I think that's so true in life. And what he meant by that is, if he would always say this, especially to new deans and new high administrators. He'd say, if you come here and you think everybody's political and they're out to get your job and they're very cutthroat, that's what you'll find. But if you come here and you think everybody here's here to support me, they're going to make sure I have the best tenure possible at this school, that's what you'll find. And I think that's so true. He also would always say, you create the world you live in. And I always hated when he said that because I thought it was so dumb. But it is so true. And what he meant by that is you can choose to live a life of joy and brotherhood and love, or you can choose to be angry and bitter every day about every little thing that happens to you. That's your choice. And so I would just encourage you to be the kind of person who doesn't do that. He also did one thing that I think is so important, the most important thing he ever did, and it's kind of like my thing when I always say, let the other guy prove he's a jerk before you assume it. He had this amazing ability. He treated every single person he ever came in contact with, whether it was at the dry cleaner or whether it was the president of a country, and he met many of them, he would treat everybody with respect. You could go out of your way to be rude to him. He would still treat you with respect. And it was so funny. That won so many people over because people who wanted not to like him, you couldn't do that because he always treated you with respect. And he once said, which I think is so true, that the biggest gift you can give anybody is your time and your attention to show them they're important. And he was more than willing to do that on multiple occasions. I would also say to all of you in the room today that be very wary of social media. I know you're all into all this thing, all these, I'm 100, so I don't know, Facebook and YouTube and all that stuff you guys are into, and Instagrams or whatever you call it. Those things, they're fun and they're important, but it's not reality, you guys. Reality is what you get in the chapter meeting. Reality is what you get when you make a friend by staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning studying, or when someone's girlfriend just dumps them and you talk them off the cliff. That's reality. And so I would just encourage you to take a break once in a while from all social media. Try as much as you can to get away from it, because I guarantee you there's a whole world out there of reality that you would actually think is better than the world you are in social media. One great thing about being in Sigma Nu that you probably take for granted is that if you're a member of Sigma Nu fraternity, started in 1868, do you realize you're in an organization that is older than 3/4 of the countries in the world? You're in an organization that has outlasted standing armies, governments. That's incredible. And so when people criticize fraternities and say they're not going to be here in the future, I just laugh because it's been here since 1868. It's obviously, it evolves, it changes, and it's becoming something new and different every day. And so I would just encourage you to keep that in mind too, that this organization you're tied to is way bigger than you and has roots way deeper than you. And just as I have never heard a speech I thought was too short, so I will wrap up with just a few quick thoughts. I'd say keep your principles of Sigma Nu at heart and use them as a compass to point you in the right direction. Cherish your fraternity friendships. Many of those will last a lifetime. I still have 3 guys that are in my fraternity, and we get together every year with our wives and then every other year without our wives, and we complain about them on that year. And we've done this for about 25 years now, and it's fun. Take a moment also to offer an encouraging word to some other person in your chapter. I would say to you guys are especially bad about this. They don't pick up on the signals from other people. So, somebody in your chapter is really hurting right now, needs your help, needs your attention. So reach out to them. Again, I want to thank everybody in this room, but I especially want to thank Judd and everyone in the NIC. This is the highlight of my career. I appreciate that. And I also feel so blessed that I was able to do it surrounded by people in Sigma Nu. Thank you very much.